Hello everyone, this is L5 and welcome to the Cover by Sideshow Toy Review. And today's I'm looking at the 2008 release by Hasbro of the G.I. Joe celebrating the 25th anniversary action figure review. And today's action figure review is a part 1 video because I don't want to prolong the video too long, seeing that there's 2 figures in this comic pack. And this comic pack is issue number 25 comic pack that features Deep Six and Staff Sergeant Rock and Roll. So today's video is a part 1 video, so we'll be focusing on review on Deep Six. In the part 2 video, we'll be looking at the Staff Sergeant Rock and Roll. Now, I got in this comic pack near my area for 49 ringgit. That's equivalent to $16 there. That's a smaller price tag that's stated 49 ringgit. It's a bit more pricier than usual, considering that not a lot of places are selling the 25th anniversary figures, and I got this about, I would say, 3 or 4 months ago when I did my haul video back then. So as I mentioned before, it's not really easy to find any more of the 25th anniversary line, and I didn't want to get this earlier because I want to focus on getting other figures first. So it was quite late for me to obtain this comic pack. Now, enough of the rambling. Let's take a look at what's in the packaging. Not looking at the Staff Sergeant Rock and Roll, we'll be only looking on one side and at the back portion of the packaging itself. At the back portion of the packaging, we have the comic itself, which is reprinted from the original issue number 25 from the Marvel's G.I. Joe comics that was released in 1991. So here we have a reprinted issue number 25 with a new cover, or at least a redone tribute cover by Greg Hans. Yes, Greg Hans would actually redo the new cover itself. Very nicely done, very detailed stuff. On one side here, we have a nicer artwork for Deep Six, as you can see there. On one side is stated as Deep Sea Diver. That's his role there. Now Deep Six, the figure is inside, and next to him is the pump with the tubing attached. This pump with the tubing is meant for Deep Six gimmick. And below Deep Six, the figure itself, there's the smaller base stand there. Now, at the back portion of the packaging itself, here is a smaller write-up stated, well, the battle between G.I. Joe and the evil Cobra forces, and also we're reprinting the comic packs, the comics itself, and who did the front cover art, which is Greg Horn. Everything is listed there. Here, this is a smaller write-up stating what's in the storyline for issue number 25. Now, to those who still remember, this is the issue where Zartan have to prove to Cobra Commander his loyalty to him, and there's the Staff Sergeant Rock and Roll and Deep Six taking on with the enemy itself. As you can see, a nice little cover with the dragonfly there, with Wild Bill, I presume that's Duke, Zartan on top of the Moccasin boat there, with Cobra Commander manning the boat. Very nice. Next to it is the 2008 new cover for issue number 25. Very nicely done. One corner here at the bottom is the old comic book artwork based on the 1991 artwork style, showing Deep Six there. At the bottom section here is the rest of the older lineup. We have issue number 64 featuring the Cobra Commander in the battle armor, which is Fred in disguise, and Gung Ho. Next to it is the issue number 86 that features the Cobra Vipers and Iron Grenadiers. Very nice. So without further ado, let's open up this packaging so we can molest the figures. Be right back. And we're back after removing the figure and the rest of the stuff out from the packaging. First things first, let's take a look at the comic that came in the comic pack, issue number 25, there with the redone front cover of issue number 25, done by Greg Hans, and this is very nicely done with the details of issue number 25 there. Now the comic inside is basically exactly the same as the 1991 release of the G.I. Joe comic by Marvel. Artwork is still the same, but the colors is a bit more brighter, and of course we still have the G.I. Joe 25th anniversary toy ants, as you can see there. And in this issue, it featured a new character. Well, they actually introduced the character in issue number 24, but only on one page. So in this issue, it actually explored a little bit more on Zartan. Of course, we get a couple of new G.I. Joe characters like Deep Six as well. Very nice. As you can see here, even Firefly also make an appearance as well. And Wild Weasel. Very nicely done. I'll move the comic one side. Let's take a look at the file card that came along in the packaging. Here we have Deep Six file card. Top section there stated as Deep Sea Diver, codename Deep Six, and you got a nice image of Deep Six there. Stated here, file name Willoughby Malcolm R. Primary military specialty diver. Secondary military specialty small craft pilot or motorized. Birthplace Baltimore, Maryland. Grade ND2. In his write-up, Deep Six never won any awards for being friendly. In fact, he became a Navy diver so he could, quote and unquote, be alone. He enjoyed solitaire, bottle cap collecting, and the New York Times crossword puzzles. Only 12 out of 50 Navy divers passed the strict requirements for the coveted diver position of the G.I. Joe team. 8 washed out in the practical application testing. Of the 4 finalists, Deep Six could hold his breath the longest. His unsociable behavior can be annoying, just as Wild Bill, which actually, this quote here actually did happen in the issue number 25 comic, which I'm going to show later. Continue onwards, but when Cobra is on your back and you need a hand, Deep Six is there to help you out. Now, he quote, and this is Deep Six quoting, "I got this scene under control," which he actually quoted this directly from the comic itself, issue number 25, which I'm going to show later. On the other side of the file card, it's all black and blank. Now, for the comic itself, first, we'll take a look at the quote. Here is the section where Deep Six stated, "Nah, I got this scene under control." And then we have Wild Bill almost wanted to put wanted to punch Deep Six for, because Deep Six is a very unsociable person, very antisocial, as you can see here. Very nice. Now, inside the packaging, we also have a smaller instruction manual. On the other side, it's all blank, and nothing new. So here, it shows where you connect the pump with the hose itself to the back of the figure to actually have to perform this gimmick for Deep Six, which I'm going to show later on in the video itself. Now, let's take a look at Deep Six accessories. First, we have the G.I. Joe base stand, the 25th anniversary G.I. Joe base stand with a nice little G.I. Joe logo on the top with 2 pegs for the figure to stand on. Now, well, considering that Deep Six can only plug in with only 1 peg, so he can't use the other one anyway. Now, on the nameplate, that's stated as codename Deep Six, and at the back portion of the base stand, bottom section stated as at 2007 Hasbro made in China. Now, Deep Six doesn't come with a lot of accessories. He only comes with the pump with the connected hose and a removable helm. First things first, we have this pump here, which is all made of black plastic material, and this is the bellow here, where you press the bellow and you can see at the end of the tubing here, and this is where the air flows out. And that's about it. This end here is meant to connect the back portion of the figure here. Then we have his dome bobblehead helm here, made of a clear translucent plastic with very little amount of details. Actually, there's no details at all. We only have a little bit of peg here to plug in at the back portion of the armor itself, as you can see. So you can actually plug in like so. And you can pull it out. There's a small little access room there for you to pull out the helm. Now let's take a look at the figure's paint job. Now surprisingly enough, the entire body, not counting the head, is made of black plastic material. So everything on the body is actually painted. The head is made of a grey plastic material, and if you guys don't actually believe me, as you can see, black, grey. Very interesting. They actually put a lot of effort on, well, painting the figure. Of course, articulation wise is another problem. First things first, the paint job. As you can see, the entire body is painted. Majority of the parts are painted in silver. Very nice, very shiny. Shoulders, tubings, even the smaller speaker here, kneecaps, hips, boots are painted in grey paint job. Now, as you can see, the inside of the arms and the elbows are not painted. That's the black plastic color. They actually painted the side of the elbows here with a really dull, very dull orange paint job, very dull. So the size of the legs as well, kneecaps as well, as you can see. So it's the back portion of the armor and the front portion of the chest as well that is painted in orange. Very nice. Neck joint, of course, is painted with flesh tone skin, and so does the entire head now that is painted. So we have a very light brown hair, light pupil eyes, and light brown eyebrows. Very nicely done. Now, I was quite surprised to find out that the entire figure is actually painted, which is surprising because, well, considering majority of the Hasbro figures, they don't normally paint majority of the parts of the figure itself. So this is a very interesting paint job. For the figure's mold, despite that it shared a lot of similarities to the 1984 Deep Six figure, this is a totally, I would say, quote and unquote, new mold. Well, at least when it first released in 2008. And this mold is actually based on the same mold for the vehicle pack for the Shark vehicle with Deep Six figure. Basically the same figure actually, no repaint at all. Same colors, same mold, no changes, even with the same accessories. So you have a nice little head sculpt now, as you can see, inside the ears there. Of course there's a bit of excess, well, plastic being shown at the bottom of the ear, but it's still alright. Here is more obvious. It's a bit of plastic being shown on the side bottom section of the ear here. Very nice detail. Hair is also very nicely done with the wrinkles as well. Got a nice little face there. Actually a bit of smile going on. Very nice. Details on the entire diving suit is also quite nicely done. Tubing on the back from the right side of the shoulder, going all the way from the front here. Got a speaker mold there, very nice. Nice little details. Got the entire arm here, and instead of individual fingers, we have, well, 4 of the fingers being molded as one. Seeing that this is a diver suit. You got the legs going on. Now the back portion is a bit more details, so does the back portion of the ankles here. The small little fans going on. So that's the bottom section of the legs as well. Very nice. Very nicely done. Now let's take a look at the figure's articulation. Now this is a Deep Six figure, so articulation is not a lot, but a bit better compared to the original Deep Six figure that was released in 1984, because the original figure that was released in 1984 only have a swivel head, swivel arms, that's it, and was considered by many the worst articulated figure for a G.I. Joe figure back then. Now we have the 2008 25th anniversary Deep Six figure, and is he any better? Just very little bit. First, we have a ball jointed neck, so you can actually go side to side with the head itself or up and down and turn 360 degrees. Well, at least the neck joint is improved. Shoulder joints there can only swivel 360 degrees, just like the original figure that was released in 1984. Then we are given with elbow joint, which bends this far, and then a wrist joint, which Of course, originally the figure doesn't even have one, so it swivels 360 degrees. And that's about it with all the articulation. There is no torso articulation, there is no leg articulation, knee articulation, or ankle articulation. This is all you get. So, is he any better? He's about the same as Deep 6 that was released in 1984. Just a tad better. I wouldn't say it is any improvement at all. I mean, we have a articulated, well, elbow, and he can't actually hold anything, so there you have it. So the mode is actually not bad. That's fully equipped Deep 6 with the helmet, and he's done. At the bottom section there, there's two holes. You can only plug in one of the holes onto the base stand. As you can see, that's all there is. Let's do his gimmick. We'll go to the bathroom and perform his gimmick. So be right back. And we're back, and this time we're in my bathroom right now, and I really feel they bathed up with water. Now, the whole gimmick with Deep 6 here, as you can see, the figure can actually float on water or sink down under water by using the bellow pump here, and you can see the tube is already connected to the back of the figure. Now I have to apologize that for the echo in the bathroom, if you can hear any, plus the fact that I'm doing this review with one hand because my right hand is holding the camera. So without further ado, let's try out the gimmick itself. Now the original 1984 figure for Deep 6 also have the same gimmick. So let's see if the 25th anniversary Deep 6 figure for the comic pack does the similar gimmick as the 1984 or not. First, let's put it under the water. Now you also will notice at the bottom feet of the figure there are two holes. Now those are not only just to peg into the base stand itself, that's where the water will go into the figure itself and to the holes. So let's put them inside, fill in the, as you can see, the bubbles, the waters are filling in into the figure, as you can see that. Let all the water go in, and the water is full. Now the figure is right now sinking, so by pressing the bellow here, you're actually making the figure float, because by pumping the bellows here, the pump, you're forcing the air and the water out from the figure, causing it to float. By releasing it, the figure will, well, sink in, because the water goes all the way in, like a submarine, if you want to call it that way. So the gimmick still works, and it's quite interesting for Deep 6 figure here. Very nice. So this is the end of the gimmick itself. Let's go back to the table to give the rating for the figure. Be right back. And we're back, and this time we're back at the table itself, and Deep 6 here is, well, partially dried up. Now the gimmick is actually nice. It still follows the 1984 Deep 6 figures gimmick, and the figure is more or less similar to the 1984 version. But the problem with the figure is that, well, because of the gimmick itself, Hasbro decided to remake the figure totally again based on the original design, and sacrificing a lot of the articulation for the figure itself. And to most adults who are collecting the G.I. Joe figures, which most of them are, well, the gimmick is not really that something that we want. We want a figure that is articulated, and we don't really care much about the gimmick itself, because when you put a gimmick onto the figure, you sacrifice a lot. Articulation will be one of them. So for the kids, the figure is, well, a nice touch. Kids can play around with it, can sink and can float. That's a nice touch. But articulation wise is kind of the sad point. So if I'm going to give a rating out of the 25th anniversary Deep 6 action figure, I say, well, let's give it a nice 6 out of 10. Yes, 6 out of 10 for Deep 6. And I thank you all for watching. This is Lucy05, and I'm signing off.